early 19th century, the political landscape of the United States was shifting dramatically. A new party was emerging, one that would challenge the dominance of Jacksonian Democrats and give voice to a diverse array of political ideology. This party, the Whigs, was founded on the promise of progress, national unity, and a commitment to strong federal governance. But despite its early success, the Whig Party would ultimately collapse under the weight of internal division, ideological clashes, and the rapidly changing political tides of the mid-19th century. What led to the Whigs' meteoric rise and dramatic fall? Let's uncover the history of this once powerful party, whose brief existence left a lasting imprint on American politics. In the 1830s, America was deeply divided politically. The country was in the midst of an economic recession, and President Andrew Jackson's policies were stirring up intense debates across the nation. Jackson's political opponents, especially those disillusioned with his presidency, needed a new political vehicle. They found it in the Whig Party. The Whigs took their name from the British political party that had opposed royal power. In America, they framed themselves as opponents of what they saw as the tyranny of Jackson's executive power. The first major sign of Whig unity came in 1834, when former national Republicans, along with anti-Jackson Democrats, coalesced to form a viable opposition. At the heart of the Whigs' platform was the desire for a more active federal government. They supported internal improvements like roads and canals, a strong national bank, and policies that promoted national economic growth. But perhaps most importantly, they stood in stark contrast to Jackson's populist, states' rights-oriented politics. The Whigs were a diverse group, uniting various factions under the banner of anti-Jacksonianism. This meant the party attracted both conservative elements, who favored strong central authority, and more progressive factions, who wanted to see the country's infrastructure developed and its economy modernized. The common thread was opposition to Jackson's vision of executive power. At the heart of their policy agenda was a focus on economic development through a strong federal government. Whigs believed that national bank, protective tariffs, and federally funded internal improvement were key to America's future. Unlike the Democrats, who championed agrarianism and state rights, the Whigs saw an active, interventionist federal government as crucial to expanding and modernizing the nation. The Whigs' first major victory came in the presidential election of 1840, a race that would prove to be one of the most dramatic in American history. The Whigs nominated William Henry Harrison, a military hero from the War of 1812, and John Tyler as his running mate. Harrison's slogan, Tippecanoe and Tyler too, capitalized on his fame as the victor of the Battle of Tippecanoe, a conflict that had made him a national hero. The campaign was a masterclass in political strategy. The Whigs portrayed Harrison as a man of the people, a contrast to President Martin Van Buren, who was seen as aloof and out of touch. Harrison's campaign emphasized populist rhetoric, and the Whigs painted Van Buren as a man responsible for the economic hardships of the 1830s. The strategy worked. Harrison won the presidency in a landslide, becoming the 9th president of the United States. Unfortunately for the Whigs, Harrison's time in office would be short-lived. Just 31 days into his presidency, Harrison died of pneumonia, making John Tyler the president. Tyler's ascension to the presidency marked the beginning of the Whigs' internal turmoil. Upon assuming the presidency, John Tyler quickly revealed himself to be a poor fit for the Whig Party. Tyler had been chosen as Harrison's running mate because of his appeal to southern states, but his views were more aligned with Jacksonian democracy than the Whig agenda. Tyler vetoed several key Whig measures, including a bill to re-establish the national bank, a central tenet of the party's platform. Tyler's clashes with the Whigs led to his expulsion from the party in 1841, leaving the Whig Party fractured and divided. The failure of the Whigs to keep their party united in the face of Tyler's presidency was a clear sign that their internal contradictions were too great to overcome. As the years passed, the Whigs struggled to maintain their relevance. By the 1850s, the Whigs were facing one of the greatest crises in American political history, the question of slavery. The passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which allowed new territories to decide for themselves whether to permit slavery, triggered intense political conflict. The Whigs, already divided over internal issues, splintered further on the slavery question. Northern Whigs, who were increasingly anti-slavery, found themselves at odds with Southern Whigs, who supported slavery and the expansion of slave states. The party's inability to reconcile these divisions led to its eventual collapse. Many Northern Whigs abandoned the party and joined the newly formed Republican Party, which had a platform focused on the containment of slavery and the preservation of the Union. The Whig Party's final national convention, held in 1852, showed just how fractured the party had become. Despite the election of Winfield Scott as the Whig candidate, the party's inability to unify around a single vision for the future of America sealed its fate. Although the Whig Party disappeared by the 1850s, its legacy lived on in the American political landscape. The Whigs' emphasis on a strong, active federal government and their focus on infrastructure development influenced future political movement. The party's most significant legacy, however, was its role in laying the groundwork for the Republican Party, which would emerge in the 1850s and go on to become one of the two dominant political forces in the United States. The Whigs were also instrumental in shaping the American political dialogue about government intervention in the economy and the role of the federal government in promoting national development. Many of the ideas championed by the Whigs would later be incorporated into policies of the Progressive era, as well as in the New Deal programs of the 1930s. Though the Whig Party is now relegated to the annals of American political history, its rise and fall remind us of the ever-changing nature of politics. Thank you for exploring the fascinating history of the American Whig Party with us. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more incredible historical stories. Until next time, as we continue to uncover the footprints that shaped our world.